Well, energy expert Ted Blond says Eskom executives should have stuck to the original way of managing the entity. During a briefing yesterday, the COO of Eskom, Jan Oberholzer, indicated it's uncertain at this point how long these stage 6 blackouts will continue.
If we stuck to what we said we were going to do, and that is to fix up the old plant and get the OEMs in and get rid of the pirate parts, 3 years ago when Mr. De Ruyter took office, that was his pledge. He then deviated from that pledge, and in fact, he went further. He cut the maintenance budgets, and so enabling himself to boast about early repayment of Eskom's loans of over 83 billion or 82 billion, if my memory serves me correctly. So the fact of the matter is, I don't care what the current narrative of Eskom is. It's a pack of lies. There's been deliberate mismanagement towards a different agenda to force South Africa and the Eskom into renewables. And it's very clear that even with 100 gigawatts of renewables, you cannot sort out the peak problems of missing baseload. Not in South Africa, which is a primary energy or primary activity type of country with mining and smelting and heavy industry. And there's no renewable energy without storage in the world that can sort out that peak time problem with that technology. You need to stick to what works, and that's where Eskom has deviated from the path. They've neglected the old fleet. They've deliberately cut back on maintenance. They've deliberately changed the skill sets of their organization to get rid of people that are skilled, etc., etc. I mean, the list is long, and it's a legacy list because it's been ongoing since 2001 when Eskom was commercialized. Prior to that, it was run as a non-profit entity for close to 90 years, and was at that stage rated as one of the top utilities in the world. You've got to be a genius to turn the top utility in the world into the poor state, disaster state that the Eskom is in now. You really need to be an exceptional genius to be able to mess things up so bad.
Well, all hands are needed on deck if we as a country are to turn Eskom around. Well, that's the view, at least, of Energy Intensive Users Group CEO Fanele Mondi.
It is quite clear that we have a system which is really failing us. And the question is, what is it then we do about that? The view we hold is that this crisis is now far beyond Eskom. It requires an intervention of all stakeholders. And with that regard, we concur with the position which Andre was making around the need for demand-side management interventions. We believe those are quick wins where we just use the currently available energy more efficiently.
So the question is, how do we try and get out of this issue? Well, it seems that coal or nuclear power stations are not the best solutions to resolving our electricity crisis. Chris Yelland, well-known energy analyst, says these take up to 15 years to build and establish. Of course, that is time we simply do not have. He says independent power producers, or IPPs, focused on renewable energy will only be effective within the next 3 years or so. So at least we've got a sense of timelines. He believes the commercial, industrial, mining and agricultural sectors are the next best option.
We need new generation capacity. That means more power stations, fast. Now, traditional power stations like coal or nuclear take many, many years to bring to fruition. I mean, in the case of Medupi and Kusile, over about 15 years. In the case of a new nuclear power station, it's a similar kind of order of magnitude. So that's not the solution. In the medium term, we have renewable energy IPP program. These programs have been delayed significantly and should be delivering and starting to deliver, but we're not going to see them coming on for the next 3 years. So we have to look in the shorter term, in the next 3 years, to customers of electricity becoming part of the solution. That means domestic, commercial, industrial, mining, agricultural customers of electricity all becoming part of the solution. In Vietnam, they put on 9,000 megawatts of rooftop solar PV in the domestic and commercial sectors alone in 1 year. That shows what can be done by a country that is less developed than South Africa, has a lower GDP per capita than South Africa. We can do it if we put our mind to it, reduce the red tape, allow it through through legislation, and not only that, encourage it and incentivize it.